Questions. Now over to you, Raghav. The virtual stage is all yours. We are live now.
Sure. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. This is Raghav. Just a quick intro about myself. So currently I work as a lead data scientist at Discover Financials. I recently switched to Discover, and prior to working in Discover, I was working at FedEx as a data analyst, where I was working in accountings and shipping and tracking domain. So basically dealing with a lot of shipping data, tracking data, how FedEx ships packages, and with respect to how it is tracked, and basically looking for number of lost shipments, number of packages that were not delivered properly, and analyzing customers' data. And with respect to the accounting part, basically analyzing a lot of financial data. And before that, like I was working in HSBC as a BIE, and there I was working on Tableau, developing financial reports and a lot of BI reports for the team. So overall, I have an experience of 6+ years in fintech as a data analyst and data scientist. And I was working on diverse tools such as SQL, Python, Alteryx, and Tableau. So today, the session would be mainly focused on SQL, where I will be starting from the basics on like how to create a table and what exactly is a database, and what is the importance of SQL in real life, and how companies basically use SQL. So let's deep dive into this, and I'll start sharing my screen. And I would apologize like if there is something that's like not because my laptop is not like working as expected today. So just letting you all know about it. Okay, before we start, I would like to know your name, where you are from, and what are you looking for today's session, and what is it that excites you for today's session. So just like maybe a minute, and I'll leave it for you.
Guys, you can let us know about that in the chat section
Yeah,
quickly.
you can write in the chat section. Hi, Braham. Hi, Meenal. Hi, Gaurav. I'm also from Pune. Good to know that few of them are from US as well. All right. So I think we have a lot of people from different parts, and it's awesome to see a couple of them from Canada, US, and different parts of India as well. So, okay, let's now move on to the next part, since we have very less time and I have to cover a lot of things. Nice to meet you all, and I'll try my best to share a lot of topics that are useful in day-to-day life, like basically with respect to a data analyst life, wherein he works with a lot of data and analyzes a lot of things. So I'll quickly move on to the main parts. So I would like to know how many years of experience you have in SQL. You can quickly drop your comments in chat. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. Like few are beginners, few are already into that field, and A lot of you, I believe, are freshers and trying to pick up a SQL skill set. So this session is exactly for those who are still learning or who are new to SQL, and which, like, what are your backgrounds? Which industry are you currently working in? Even I was a mechanical engineer. Like, I did my BTech in mechanical engineering, so that's good. Okay, that's awesome. Like, a lot of different industries and people from different industries and experience here. So let's move on to the main topic now. Okay, so today, the first and foremost, the most important thing, what exactly is a database? So database is something which basically is like a container, and it holds these tables. Basically, we can think of it like a container. For example, if you're going, if there are customers related to uh, basically, let's say you are shopping on Amazon, then there are a couple of different tables involved in it. One would be a customer's table, one would be a products table, one would be an orders table. So different elements that are related with respect to the data. We hold that particular data in something called as tables, and uh, different tables are basically segmented into different parts so that it's easy to organize the data into those buckets, and hence we have those tables so that they can be segregated and there is no duplication, and they are unique with respect to the data. And the data, if like we need to have a relationship between different aspects of the data, we need to make sure that data is segmented into the right buckets. So for now, I'll just keep it high level before we go into the coding part. So I'll be covering the database, like how we create a database, how we create tables, and how SQL is used in a real world and by companies, how SQL is used to analyze data and deep dive into the data and basically extract the important key metrics from the data. So first and foremost, what is a relational database? Like I said, a table, if the data is organized into different tables, and for example, customers database would have the customers table, and then products database would have the data related to the products, and orders database would have data related to the orders. So it is all bucketized into different tables, and each of these tables have something called as rows and columns that you also see in Excel or spreadsheet, right? So basically, the when the data is structured and organized into rows and columns, then it is known as a relational database, because we have multiple different tables, and these tables are related to each other in the form of something known as primary key or foreign key. So primary key is basically a unique set of ID for that particular table. For example, if you see in this table, we have customer ID, customer name, and status, wherein the customer ID is unique to that table, and that particular column will not be duplicated. It will be unique throughout the table. So the customer can be easily identified with respect to the unique ID from that table. So basically that is the primary key. And now if there is another table, let's say orders, and it would also have a customer ID, but that won't be a unique key to the table. It is basically the foreign key is basically to relate to the previous table. So the orders table, if you want to relate it to the customers table, you need the foreign key. So that is how a relational database is formed, wherein multiple tables are related to each other in the form of through primary keys and foreign keys, and that relation is created for this structural database. Whereas what is a non-relational database? So in real world, basically you wouldn't receive the data in a structured format always. So the data can come in the form of raw unstructured form, for example, XMLs. So if you see the data below in the non-relational database, this is an XML in the form of key value pairs. So it is not a structured form, it is very unstructured. So basically you have to parse the data from this and then convert it into a structured format to extract the key insights. So basically in this form, the data is not related to each other. You have to do a lot of parsing. You have to create those logical relationship between the data, and there is a lot of analysis and parsing that needs to be done for this kind of data. But usually like there are different ways to build that logic for non-relational database. But for SQL part, most of the time we have the relational database, and basically we extract the data for the relational database, and SQL we use it for relational database. So moving on to the next one. So what is SQL? SQL is basically a structured query language. So it's a language to pull the data from the different tables in a relational database. So it is a language that is mainly used for the relational database to extract the data. So you basically interact with the database to store the data, to manipulate the data, and extract the data using the relational database management system. So different relational database management systems that we have in the real world are MySQL, Microsoft SQL, Oracle, and Redshift. So these are the different RDBMS systems, basically which hold the data, and the tables are stored in these systems, and SQL is used to extract the data from these RDBMS systems. So basically, data analysts and scientists use it to provide efficient solution for reporting the need of the end stakeholders. So SQL is very important in the real world, and it's used by majority of the companies, and most of the data analysts and data scientists use SQL, and it is the most important language that one must know. So let's look at few of these commands and what exactly these are. So I'll open MS SQL. Second. So first and foremost, I'll start from the base. I'll create a database. So I'll call it, or let me call it retail database, because I'll be dealing with retail data today. So I'm creating this database.
Sir, you want to show that because we are able to see only your PPT.
Oh, you're not able to see it yet? Okay.
Yeah, because I guess
Thanks
you have
for
shared.
letting. Yeah, I'm sharing a different one.
Okay.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Now we can see.
Okay, awesome. So first, I'm creating a database. I just created that. I'm calling it as a retail database. So this retail database will hold all the data related to the retail industry. So that's the first step. We have the database, so we can check it here. Like if okay, so it's created. It's basically taking a little bit of time to load. Okay, now in this database, I'll be creating a few tables. So the first one that I would be creating is the customers table. So what exactly would we need in the customers table? So first and foremost, we would need the customer ID, which is the unique ID for that customer. And then we would need the name of the customer. And we would also like to know the city which the customer decides, the state. So varchar 50 and int, these are basically the data types. That basically, if it is a string data type, I would be giving varchar 50 with 50 characters. And for the ID, I gave it as int since it's a number. Okay, now this table has been created. Now let's check what's in this table. So I would use select statement to check what are the contents of the table. So basically, since it's an empty table, we don't have anything here. So now I'll be adding data to this. Let's say some random name I'm giving. Random. City, let's say. Maybe that. Yeah. So now I'll just run this. So now we have added some data to this table. Let's see what it holds. So we have some set of data in this table. I'll add few more rows to this. So to save time, I'll just extract it from here. I think it's taking a bit of time, so I'll quickly use this. So I'll just change this here. Add something random. Then I'll create few more rows. So right now we are in the stage of adding data and creating those tables. Just creating some random data in this table. So now we have enough data in the, let's look at what we've got. So now we'll just do a select star on this and see what's there in the customers table. So we have this now we can see that there are like 7 rows in the customers table. Now let's create orders table. So I'll use the same thing. We'll have different attributes in the orders table. Okay, before that, let's create products table. We'll need product name and the price. So we have the products table, but if we query that, we would see that there is nothing yet in the products table. My laptop is really giving me a hard time today. Sorry about that. Okay. So we can see that there is nothing yet in the products table. So let's insert data in it. I'll just use the query that I already have. To save time, we can quickly insert this. So you look at it now. We have the products table ready, and we also have a customers table available. Now we'll create the orders table. And in this important aspects related to the orders would be the when the order was made, this would be the order date. And the data type for this would be the date time. And then we would have product ID, which would be the foreign key for this. don't worry about the syntax. I mean, you can easily find it on the web. Just like you can just focus more on the approach and like, the logic, how uh, how I'm solving it. So it's important to focus more on the approach rather than the syntax in SQL. So now we have the product ID and then the shipping date. We would also need the customer ID, which would also be the foreign key in this one, since that's not the unique key. So for the orders, the unique key would be ID, order ID, which is the primary key, and product ID and customer ID would be the foreign key. And foreign key, one of the importance of using foreign key is it avoids any duplication of the data and avoids redundancy, and also make sure the integrity is followed and the data is correct. So now when I query orders, we don't have any data. So let's insert the data in this. Okay, so now we have added data to the orders table. So now we have customers table, we have the orders table, we have the products table. And so we can call that our retail database has 3 tables, and it holds 3 different types of data in 3 different types of tables, and it's basically a relational database wherein all the 3 tables are related to each other through primary key and foreign key. So now let's go back to this. So we have looked at the data definition language wherein we are creating the data, and alter is basically if you want to add any new column to the table after the table is created. So you can use alter in that case. And then drop is when whenever the table is not required, and you feel like, let's say you are creating a temporary table. So I'll not go deep into what a temporary table is, but temporary table is a table which is created right for only for that instance and session, and basically you can drop that table. So you can use drop to delete, basically drop that particular table, and when the table is not of use. But we rarely use this since it's not advisable to use this particular function. And then coming to data manipulation language, we also used insert, where we added the data to the tables. And update is basically when, after we inserted the data, if we want to update the data and if the data is not correct, then if we have to update it with something, we use update function. And delete is again if you want to delete something, delete a row or something from the table, then you can use delete. And then data control language is basically if you want to add any specific security or permission with respect to the tables, then you use this grant and revoke. But let's not go there because it's mostly related to database administrators who use these functions. And then data query language, this is what we usually use in SQL, where we extract the data, where we query the data from the database. So we have covered create, insert, select, and where is used along with the select statement. It is used when we want to filter something from the table. Let's say you want to filter a particular value from the table. That's when you would use where condition. And then update we have covered. We have covered like all these functions. So, okay. Moving on to the joins. Joins are basically to extract the information from different tables using the primary and foreign key relations that we discussed earlier. So quickly revising the primary key and the foreign key. So primary key is again the unique key to uniquely identify a particular row. So in the earlier table, we saw that student ID was the primary key for that table, student table. And then foreign key is used basically to connect the two tables and to maintain the relationship between the tables. And to maintain the integrity between the data. And then the join is basically used to combine two or more tables based on the related fields between the two tables. So now let's look at what are the different types of joins that we use. So the first and most important join that every company uses, and it is used it is also a function. It is also one of the most asked questions in the interviews, wherein they test, they give you questions based on left join. So what is a left join? So left join is basically when you get everything, like everything that the left table has, and only the joined condition from the right table. So that's the left join. And like you can see from the
hi sir, Raghav sir, are you showing the slides? Actually, yes, we are able to see the SQL part.
Okay. Oh, you should have stopped me earlier.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you see it now?
Okay, yeah, we can see.
So I was, yeah,
Yes.
I'll go back again. Just quickly show you what I was going through. So I was just talking about these different functions that we just looked at. Uh, yeah, these were the slides I was going through these, and basically we looked at all of these different functions. So I'll move on to the joins part. So rephrasing again. So joins is basically to connect two different tables based on the relationship that's created through a primary key and foreign key. So now looking at these diagrams, you can see that what's a left join, right join, inner join, outer join, and full join. So so left join is basically when you get the whole of left table. So basically assume that you are joining two tables, and one, let's say that it's the left table, and the other one that you're looking at is the right table. So left join would extract data for whole of left table, and right one would only give the ones which are matching with tables, and rest would be basically the nulls. And same thing but for the right join, but it would give the whole of right data, the data from the right table. And inner join is basically when there is a match between left and right tables, and it would only give us the matching data between both the tables. And full join is when you get all the data from both the tables. And right outer join is when you only get the data from the right table. So now these are the different syntaxes for these tables. We'll quickly look at practically how it's used in different companies. So with respect to our data, let's say we want to use a left join. So now I would use left join to extract all the customers data who and basically the orders that they made. So for that, I'll take the customer ID.
Sir, we are stuck in the PPT.
Okay, again, yeah, I will share it. Can you see?
Okay. Yes, sir, visible.
Okay. Okay, so I want the customers data who all the so I want the date I want the data for all the customers who ordered or didn't order. So I would use left join for this, and we'll see like why we are using the left join. So I'm extracting the customer ID, and then but let's say like I'll pull all the customers data, see much so customers table, and I would call it as alias C. So alias is something that I'm giving a name for that table. So I'm calling it as C, and C dot star is when I'm extracting all the data from that particular table. Then here I would use left join because I want all the customers data and not just those who ordered. Okay, so here what we are getting is we are getting all the customers' data, irrespective of whether they ordered a product or they didn't order a product. Let's look at this. So basically, we have all the customers' data who ordered or didn't order a product, but we don't need so here we have the order date of and the and the products that they ordered and when it is getting shipped and the shipping status and basically the customer idea. So we have all the details related to the customer and orders that they made. And we also have null values. So basically we also have the details of those customers who never made any particular order. So in this case, we use left join because we didn't want to skip these null values. We wanted details of all the customers from the customers data, customers table, who made orders or who didn't make orders. So that's why like we used left join. Now let's look at the inner join. What we get. So now when I used inner join, we can see that only the matched results from both the tables are being populated. So basically, only those customers who made an order, who ordered something, at least one item, they would be reflected. And the customers who didn't make any order, they have been dropped from this particular join. So that's the main difference between left join and inner join, wherein left join will give all the data from the left table, whereas inner join would give only the matched results. And then remaining are like very straightforward, wherein full join would give all the data and left and right outer join will give it based on, like, for example, right outer join would only give the right data and left one would only give left tables data. So moving on to the next one. Okay, aggregate function. So there are a couple of different aggregate functions like sum, average, minimum, min, max, and count.
Sir, I guess you would like to switch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I was just talking about this, that these are the different aggregate functions. Basically, these functions are inbuilt function that SQL has, and you can directly get the sum, average, min, max, and count using these functions. So let's quickly look at practical example. Okay. So I'm selecting the customer's ID from the customer's table, and then I want the month of the order when it was made. So I would be selecting order date as month. And then I would select the sum of price and got it as amount spent by customer. So here I'm using all the three tables. So from the customers table, I'm getting the ID. From the orders table, I'm getting the order date, month of the orders, and from the products table, I'm getting the price. So I'm using inner join because I want the match data for this. And then I'll group it by I'm grouping it by customer and the month. So what I'm doing is I want the amount spent by customer, each customer per each month. So that's what we are doing here. So I'm grouping it by for each customer and each month. And then I'm ordering by 3, which is the amount spent by the customer. It's ending because I want to know the customers who spend the most each month. Okay. So here we can see that we got the amount spent by customer by each customer for each month. So here we just like took 1 month. We just have 1 month's data, so that's why we are getting this. But if you have multiple months, it will group by each of those months. So we can see that customer with ID 5 has spent the most amongst everyone. We can also get his name from this. somewhere it's messing up. First. Okay. So now we can see that we also have the name, ID, and the amount spent by the customer for that month. So this is how aggregate functions can be useful. So now we can also see the average amount spent by the customer each month. And in this way, we can extract the top 5 average. And now I'm checking the minimum amount spent. In the same way, we can also look at the minutes. And we also can check total count. So instead of, so like this, these aggregate functions can be very useful for the analysis when we want to get the descriptive statistics of the data that we have and get summarized data using these functions.
Raghav sir, we have reached the time limit as well.
Sorry? Can you repeat it?
Sir, I said we have reached the time limit as well.
Yeah, I'll cover in like
Yeah.
10 minutes. Is it fine?
Yeah, fine. I was just letting you know.
Yeah, sure.
10 minutes over.
Thank you. Yeah. And then we have union and union all. So union is basically when we want to append the data. Let's say you want to stack data from 2 different tables, and you just want the distinct values from both the tables. Then you use the union, and union all can be useful when you want all the data from both the tables and you don't want to lose any of it. So that's when union all can be used, but it's preferred usually that union is used, but in certain scenarios, even union all is used. And then let's look at the case statement. So I'll quickly use the code that I have from you. So I want to get only those.
Raghav sir, I guess you would want to.
Yeah, sorry about it.
Yeah, no issue.
Okay. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. No.
So I was saying, like, we want to extract data for those customers whose orders have been delivered. And then so we would use the case statement here. So this can be used like a flag whenever you have some, like, let's say you are in a financial company and you want to do audit and you want to reconcile the data. So that's when case when comes in handy and you can use it. So I want to get the percentage of the packages that have been delivered. So produce this. Then percentage. So I'm basically using a subquery here, wherein I'm using two queries and extracting from the inner query. So in this case, the inner query runs first, and then we get it from the outer query. So first the inner query runs and then the outer query. So now we can see that the customer with ID 2 has most number of delivery percentage. So in this way, we can identify those customers where the packages, the delivery percentage of the packages is 100%, or like wherever it's high or it's low. In this area, the stakeholders would be able to identify the high trending areas and the low trending areas, and basically take decisions based on that. So that's how like case statement can come in handy. So coming to the last, like we have three things. Let's look at these scenarios. So the first one, how it can be used by a data analyst. So let's say stakeholders want to know who are the top three customers with the most number of orders. So in that, like we would just use the rank function. Quickly show you. As order count. Then I'll use the dense and function. So here first we are extracting the count of the orders that the customer made, and then we are ranking it. Now I want just the rank. Good now. So I just want the top 5. So I would be using still equal to 5. So here what we did is we first extracted the count of number of orders made by the customer, and then we use the rank function to get the rank of those particular orders that the customer made, and then we use the filter condition to get the top 5 customers, and we use the order by to get to basically get the sorting of that particular rank. So that's how like rank can be a useful function. So we have like 3 different things. One is a dense rank, and row number. So I'll quickly walk you through from this slide. So basically the difference between rank, dense rank and row num is
you haven't switched.
Oh. Okay. So the rank function would, if we look at this example, let's say we have rank 1, rank 2, and rank 3. So 2 of the customers have the same rank. So basically, let's say they have made the same number of orders. So that's why they have the same rank. But after that, like the next rank, it would directly go to 5 instead of 4. So that's how rank works. Coming to dense rank, it doesn't skip the next number and rather gives 4. So usually we use a dense rank in real world scenarios. And then row number is basically it gives unique number for each of the rows. So that's the major difference between the 3. So moving on to the next one, I wouldn't go much into detail with respect to the code, but we'll just take a high level view for this. So what is the trend for different product orders in this week? So BI engineers usually work more on the SQL and Tableau data, and we basically they need to extract the key metrics from the data that they have. So this is a scenario that one might be getting in real world, wherein you need to extract the key trends for the data that you have. So looking at this question, what is the trend for different product orders in this week? So here, if you look at the query, we are first extracting the week for the orders that took place, and then we are getting the product name, product ID, and the count of the products. And we are joining the orders table with the products table, and then we are grouping it as per the each week and each product. So here we have, like, if you look at the data, we'll get the output for each week, and for each product, like what is the product count. So in that way, we will get to know the trend for different products in each of the week. So in this way, like you can use the aggregate functions and even extract certain part from the date. And we are also using join condition to get the data from multiple tables. And then lastly, let's look at this final example. So let's say the stakeholders want to know okay, the city which has potential for 1-day delivery. So it is more like a predictive analytics wherein key trends are being predicted through the data and based on the historical data that we have. So here we are extracting the city, the shipping status, and the count of orders. So if you look at the output, we are getting the count of orders with respect to each city, and we can also see the shipping status. So in this way, we'll be able to know the number of products that are being delivered properly in each state, and we can also see if there is any lag with respect to the delivery process. So in this way, stakeholders would be able to identify the key locations where the delivery is not happening as per the expectation, and they can take key business decisions in those particular areas. So this is how like we can use SQL to identify the key trends and also make the right business decisions based on the historical data and extracting key relevant information from the data that we have. And if you're someone who is a beginner in SQL and who is learning, I would recommend these different links. Maybe you can take a quick screenshot. These are very helpful, and especially for beginners who are who just started learning SQL, and they are also good for the practice purpose. So I'll just give like a minute. Maybe you can just take a screenshot of this. Yeah. Yeah, you can go ahead with your questions and I'm happy to answer them. And before that, I would like to say that you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to guide you and help you with respect to any questions on data science, data analytics, SQL, Tableau, or basically anything related to that. And I also have I also share a lot of content on Instagram on Get DataHour channel, where you can get a lot of important and valuable information related to data analytics and data science. And you can always reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to help you.
Okay, so before we proceed to answer the questions, I would like to request the attendees to please fill in the feedback poll, as it helps us to conduct more such sessions. The feedback poll is live, guys. So sir, we can quickly take few questions because we have run out of time. So I hope you are able to see your Q&A section.
Yes.
Raghav, sir? Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
I'm able to see.
Yeah, there are few questions. Otherwise, if you want, I can read it out.
Sure, no problem. I can
Oh.
see. So the first question, what are the main technical skills required to enter the data analytics field? So this is a very common question that I keep getting, and the main suggestion for this is SQL. Like SQL is the most important skill set that you would want to know, even if it is like data analytics, business analytics, BI, data science, or any field related to data. SQL would be the first go-to language that you would want to know and you would want to learn it. And after that, I would suggest like get basic understanding of Excel and try to know the key functions that are used in Excel, because in any role, however techy it might be, but definitely Excel would be a tool that everyone would use in their office. So these two are the main ones, and then after this, I would suggest either start learning Tableau or Power BI for the data visualization part. And these three should be the main key things that you would want to know on the tech front. And on the soft skills part, communication is one important aspect that you would want to know, because uh, it's important that you present the findings that you get through the data to the stakeholders. So there would be regular collaboration with the teams, and it's important to provide the key information to the stakeholders in the simplest form. So these are the main key things that you need to focus on, and I'm sure like um, these skills would put you ahead if you're mainly focusing in data analytics. Okay, next question. Can a table have more than one primary key? So yes, basically primary key can be in the form like if there can be two keys and both the keys together can form a primary key. So that is also possible. Uh, but I didn't want to go deep into that because that would be very confusing. But a table can have two fields together, which can be a primary key. So, okay. So primary keys are basically, so someone asked that if I can explain what are primary keys and what are the uses of primary keys. So primary keys are basically a unique number for each of the uh, so it's like a unique number for that table, and it's a unique identity for the row to identify each row in the table. And foreign key is basically used in another table to create that relationship between that table and the other table which has the primary key. So foreign key is mainly used to create that relationship, whereas primary key is the unique identifier for the table. And uses of primary keys is it's basically, like I said, to uniquely identify each row in the table, and foreign key is basically to create that relationship and maintain the integrity for the table so that there is no data redundancy within the tables and the relationship is correct. So is there an import option to get data from other file formats? I didn't quite get this question.
I guess he wants to ask like any other file format we can have in the Excel, because you opened in a single type of file.
So basically there is one function wherein you can extract the data from Excel. But other than that, I'm not aware of anything like if we can get it from other file formats. Because usually you deal with data that's in the database. So that way, like usually first you import the data into the database and then extract it from there. Yes, SQL on, so lot of companies use SQL on cloud. So um, Snowflake is one, and then we have couple of different one, Oracle, but I'm not sure like which ones are free because these are all enterprise based. I think MySQL is an open sourced one, so you can, yeah, and even SQL Server. Suggestion on logic building for coding. So one of the key suggestion I would say is before you start coding, focus on building the approach and logic. Basically, write it down on paper, like what you want to extract, what is the final output that you want to achieve. That is the key important aspect. If you write everything on paper in proper simple English, and then you would be able to build the logic behind it. So firstly, you have to break it into different parts when you code. And once you, let's say you are able to get the first part, then you move on to the next part, and like that you will be able to build the logic and build the code for that. However complex however complex it is to extract the data, it becomes simpler if you break it down and write it down on paper in simple English. Is the foreign key the primary of the that we are creating the connections with? The foreign key the primary of other. So no, the foreign key is not the primary of the other table. Like we saw in orders table, right? We had the order ID, which was the primary key table. And then we had the customer ID and the product ID, which were the foreign key for that table. So basically yeah, it's not like the primary key for the other table. Yeah.
Okay, that's a wrap, I suppose, sir. We are finished with all the questions.
So much, everyone, and I apologize again because there were some technical issues at my end today. So yeah, sorry about that.
No
But
issues, sir. It went quite
learned
well.
something new from today's session.
So thanks a lot, Raghav, sir. On behalf of Analytics Vidya, I would like to thank you for your time and delivering such a wonderful session. I'm sure our audience found it insightful, and hopefully we can conduct more such sessions with you in the future. I hope you guys have filled in the feedback poll. If not yet, I request you to please fill in the poll about the feedback, as it helps us to conduct more such sessions with you. If you wish to conduct a webinar or facing any difficulty in registering for any, connect with us at datahour@analyticsvidya.com. You can find this mail ID in the chat section as well. The recording of this session will be available on our YouTube channel within 2 days of time, the link for which is also in the chat section. And you guys can check out the upcoming data session, and that link is also can be found in the chat section. So we'll be back with another session of the data tomorrow, and the link for which is also available to you guys. Till then, bye bye and keep learning. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye.